game is an amateur game. I mean, the professional side of it, there are idols and heroes and fun to watch them play. But I mean, if it wasn't for amateur golf, there would be no golf.
On a nice day, it's very scoreable. When you go play it on a 15, 20 mile an hour day and you're hanging on to your pants. And I think I love that about that style of golf, link style of golf.
You have to remember, when you play a golf course and you're out there for 4 hours or whatever, you're only hitting a ball for 15 minutes of that. So there's a lot of time to look around.
Hello and welcome to a little short, brief pod by Jasper and myself, James Henderson. We're going to be talking about the recently released Top 100 US rankings. Now, I just want to start by adding a caveat, is the fact that although we may be familiar with some of these golf courses and been lucky enough to play a few of them, we are not the rankers. We are not the people that have rated these golf courses and put these rankings together. We are the people that essentially advertise what people have put together. Jasper being the editor in chief and running our website, I just talk a bit. And then, so Jasper, tell us what's been going on with the US rankings and what should people expect?
Yeah, so USA rankings, we've updated all 50 states now, and those have come out. And maybe this is just a little bit of an opportunity as well to tell any of our listeners that if they have a deep amount of play in any state, and architecturally they're switched on and they've seen kind of like a range of golf from the greatest and the good, and they understand what makes for good golf, and they see golf the way we do. And again, we've recently just published our ranking guidance, our review guidance, and our rating guidance, and that's all publicly available on the website. So there's no secrets. But if you've got a background and you think that you can do better, or you think that there's courses that we've missed or ones that shouldn't be on, or they need to be adjusted, reach out and get in touch. We are constantly looking for individuals that can help us refine our rankings. It's only been a few years that we've been attempting to do in-state rankings in America. And so we know that we need a little bit more help, and you've got to start somewhere. So we're in the process of building that up. And it's really easy to pick holes, but what we want is people to help us, basically. And obviously there's residual benefits by getting involved. So that's the first thing. So with regards to in-state rankings, they're been released, kind of the big ones. I think we've done about 15 so far.
Sorry, Jasper.
Those have been released.
All I could think of when you did that was the Uncle Sam, "We need you" poster.
We need you. Suitable for America.
We need to get that made up.
Yeah.
We need you to do rankings. I guess there wouldn't be too much, because it's probably to join the ranks would be the operative word, right?
Absolutely, yeah, that would be it. Yeah, we'll get one of the creatives on that and see what we can come up with.
So sorry.
But yeah, or maybe AI.
Oh well, I'll put it in and post it in the what do you call it? Stories? Is it stories? Yeah, stories.
Stories. Yeah.
See how bad it is. So, Jasper, you've now updated all 50 rankings. Tell us a wee bit about it all and how's it gone?
Yeah, so we've got through all 50 states. Those will be released, I believe, weekly over the next few months. So we're really looking forward to hearing and seeing the comments come back for each of those. And actually, the easier of the two is the USA Top 100. And what I mean by that is that you can basically shortlist them to probably 125 to 150 courses. And out of that, most of them are household names for those that follow these types of things or that are aware of kind of the big names in golf. And again, when we apply our criteria, we come up with a list. So there hasn't been a lot of change in the, I would say, top 30. So, well, top 25, there's really been no changes. Some clubs have moved up a spot or down a spot, kind of a shuffling of the deck up until we get to 45. And that's where one of the big drops has been this year, where the country club, Clyde and Squirrel, has dropped 21 places, down from 25 to 46. So that will no doubt raise some eyebrows. So we're gonna hold on to our seats and see how that shakes out. But at 47th, we've got another massive riser. It's not the debut. Old Barnwell debuted at 71 the last time the rankings were updated, and it's risen another 24 to 47.
I played
So
it. Completely agree. It's fantastic. Truly brilliant. Wonderful routing on a hard piece of property.
And what's amazing is that at 45, you've got courses in and around there. So in state, Kiowa Island at 41. And then you start to move into Rock Creek Cattle Company, Doak Design in Montana. That's 42. Whistling Straits, Inverness, Peachtree, all of those World Top 100 or knocking very closely on the door. So that is
that number, right? That's the amount of American courses that seem to continually be in the top 100.
Is about half. And honestly, with the amount of golf that's being built, I think that's the thing. We're kind of in this like second golden age where you give a brilliant architect a brilliant piece of land, and it's really hard to not put it in the USA Top 100 or World Top 100. And that's where we're getting to. You could probably very easily do like a top 200 list or a top 150 list. And from 75 onwards, there's probably 100 courses that you could swap in and out. And you could argue for or against for any one of them.
I guess that's an interesting one because it really is come down to destination golf, hasn't it? It's given people, these great architects, the ability to go out and build on ground that no one would have played because it would have been miles away. Would have been of interest.
Exactly. So, I mean, you think about Sandhills in Nebraska. Bandon is another good example. Childress Hall is one that's like, there's very few people that have been to see it in Texas. So it's in northwest Texas. And very few people have been able to see it. There's very few photos of it. But those that have in the industry are raving about it already. So Childress Hall is one to watch out for. And the rumor is that it's good, really good. And when we say really good, we're talking like world good, world class. So that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on. But yeah, back to the USA Top 100, you're exactly right. They're building golf courses. So, I mean, if you gave Tom Doak, Gil Hance, Bill Coore, now a handful of other architects, like a brilliant piece of property and what is effectively an unlimited budget, they're not going to build a bad golf course, are they?
No.
Like, it's going to be good. And they know what they're doing. So it's sort of like, if you gave Alistair McKenzie a piece of property like that was as good as Cypress Point, would we have two Cypress Points? Well, yeah, probably. And now how do you decide which one is better than the other? And that's difficult. So it's kind of where we're at now is you have all these great architects finding all these great pieces of property. They all know what they're doing. And we end up getting this like kind of modern day revolution where the golden age is being rivaled by a second golden age. So Barnwell seems to be one of those courses that is like honestly risen kind of to the top of that list. The other one that that kind of stands out when you look at the list after the golden age stuff, Ballyneal, Lido, and then the Bandon courses, and then Rock Creek Cattle Company. So again, there's a lot of similarity. The thread that you see between all of those is Mr. Doak. So, but obviously Old Barnwell, that's Brian Schneider's design and Blake Conant's design. And it's just something I think so different that it's really struck a chord with those who've been able to see it.
One of the popular things in American sport, very much so, is coaching trees. You have your like the famous legendary coach and the amount of coaches that have come from it to do amazing things. And I guess the same thing is happening, really just starting to happen with Tom Doak and the likes of Angela Moser with number 10, and then Clyde Johnson doing the stuff at Old Petty, and Brian Schneider obviously is the first one that can claim fully with Blake Conan to Old Barnwell, but you'll start to see this happening.
Absolutely. And I think the interesting thing is like a lot of the prime real estate that's so two things, over the next, say 10, 20, 30 years, it's going to get more and more difficult, especially with environmental legislation, to build golf courses in traditional markets. So, as you mentioned previously, destination golf, will we see more of that? How much destination golf can there be?
Yeah, how many people are competing for the same pie?
So, I mean, you've got Bandon, you've got Streamsong, you've got Sandhills, you've got, there's a handful of others in the States. And then maybe you've got a few others in Australia and New Zealand. But after that, it's like, how many people? How many people? And are these the opportunities? So
Cabot obviously sees some sort of value in it because of obviously the stuff in Canada, but also purchasing up in Castle Stewart, and then also, but Scotland's an easy through door, but then Lofoten.
Yeah, Lofoten, and they've. I think the other one too is Cabot Medoc. So the one in France, with the Axland and the courses there. So, but maybe that is also a byproduct of the fact that, in America at these really top tier kind of private golf clubs, like people are paying tens of thousands of dollars as an entry fee, and then not far off that for yearly subs. And then there's minimum bar spends and all sorts of stuff. So for the people that don't have just, incredible wealth or disposable income, they might look at that and say, look, I'm going to give up my membership to my country club that cost me 20 to 50 grand a year or more, depending on where you are in the country. And I'm just going to basically divert those funds to taking 2 or 3 really, really good vacations to these amazing destinations a week at a time. So it might be that one is fueling the other and it won't slow down anytime soon. But we digress. Anyways, back to the rankings. Yeah, go ahead, James.
Two things, just one last thing on that. The idea that that's a really interesting point of view on it. And I know a couple of Americans who do that, who rather than pay maybe the golf course locally to them to their business is 100 grand joining fee and 50 grand a year or whatever, I don't know. And for them, it's so much cheaper to be a member of Crail and travel the world. And really
that's the thing.
Go and play amazing golf.
And I mean, when you start looking at the amount of money like that some of the American country clubs charge, you can enjoy yourself on holidays for a few weeks out of the year for like a few $1,000s, let alone tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, and maybe that's a bit of a plug too for Lockhart. If you're not seeing the value that you would necessarily see by having like an expensive country club membership, perhaps to a middle of the road American urban country club, but you still want to play some really, really good golf for reasonable money comparatively, like Lockhart is a really viable option where you can get access to some of these top clubs, meet a lot of really well-connected people, and really enjoy yourself. And there's 12 trips a year on average. And then there's going to be kind of some of these like kind of weekend trips as well. So you don't have to necessarily go for 10 or 12 days. But yeah, exciting and a viable option that can be had.
Shall we continue down the list?
Absolutely. So the next kind of big one that's dropped down is Southern Hills. So that's gone from 37th to 53rd. And again, not privy to all of the reasons why, but I think we are starting to see just a slight change in taste and perhaps with the new ranking criteria that we have, putting more emphasis not necessarily on like penal architecture or just it's a test of golf, but seeing courses like Old Barnwell where it's quite strategic, it's really fun to play, and it's just asking different questions than are you a plus handicap golfer that can be brought to its knees. So perhaps we're seeing a little bit of a shift, and that's being reflected in the rankings. So another one that kind of like falls into that category of being new, fresh, and exciting, and definitely built to enjoy is Ladera. So that's Gil Hanse's new course in the desert in California. That's debuted at 83rd. So that's sandwiched between Bel Air and the Honors course. So new entry at USA Top 100 at 83. And the other one that comes in the 80s is a significant drop, down from 67 to 88 is Tree Farm. So these are always interesting ones because you've got the two new darlings of South Carolina golf. They both debuted in the 70s in the USA Top 100, and then one's continued to rise, and then the other one's fallen back just a bit. So some people might raise an eyebrow at that because there are going to be some people that prefer Tree Farm over Old Barnwell and vice versa. But when you look at the company that Tree Farm's still holding, so Kingsley Club, Lake Merced, and Old Elm are either side of it, bookending it. I mean, even to be mentioned in that company, it's pretty rare air. So that's not to take anything away from what the Tree Farm is, but it's debuted, and then it feels like they're finding their place.
It's very difficult to get it right so early.
And that's it. I mean, I think as you get more and more people to see it, you get a more and more balanced, rounded out view. And like I say, I've not seen either yet. Hopefully next year I'll be able to get over and see them. But again, whenever you talk about top 100 in the USA, it's going to be an amazing experience, no matter where it is, whether that's top 10 or bottom 10. So
I've played one,
yeah.
And the thing that stood out to me was the uniqueness of Old Barnwell. It felt different, played different. And not to say that Tree Farm isn't got unique characteristics, but there was an extra edge to Old Barnwell that I kind of hadn't experienced.
And maybe that's what we're seeing is that, you know, it's an interesting one because I think even the information that's been put out about Tree Farm and the inspiration that's been taken is a lot of it's been on the back of kind of golden age golf course architecture in and around London Heathlands. So yeah, it's a really good golf course based on that premise, along with, you know, some of the best architectural routers that have ever lived and some of the best shapers with Tom and Kai. So like it's a cracking golf course. But what Brian and Blake have done at Old Barnwell is they've like shifted the needle into a territory that is completely new. And there's always a risk in that. Like it could have definitely gone the other way where people play it and it's sort of like modern art. You know, people who go to like Tate Modern in London and be like, I don't get it. And other people just absolutely rave about it. But it does appear that it's settled onto the right side, or the side that they would want it, is that although it's new and exciting and completely different, it's on the right side of new and exciting.
And that's the thing. It's all from the same coaching tree.
Yeah,
these guys are best friends who've worked together for years. And
exactly.
Like the finish at Tree Farm, last 5 holes or whatever, is 4 holes, are some of the most fun you'll have on a golf course. You know, it's not to say the Tree Farm isn't superb, which it is. I'm just saying that Old Barnwell, like it's like going to play. It's like your Waverley experience. You know, it's just what is going on here? This is different. I'm quite excited by this. And
that's, are we going through a similar? Sometimes I think I was born in the wrong era. Like you kind of think, what would it have been like, being around like World War One or two, where you've got like Mackenzie, Abercrombie, Simpson, Colt,
I think I'd rather stay in
Fowler.
that era, man. I don't want to be
That's
drafted.
true. I would have been sent to the trenches. Just a
I'm too
meat
tall.
grinder coming over.
Just my head poking out the top of the trench constantly.
We wouldn't have lasted very long. But maybe we're there again, in the sense that like we come from like links, and then you kind of go inland, and they're building all these golf courses, and it's like, well, we tried this, it didn't seem to work, and now we're trying. And like, have we uncovered something new, or has Brian and Blake uncovered something new that will just kind of open up that next thing? And like, do we even know what that next thing is? What will golf architecture look like? Is this the genesis of it? Not to over egg it, but like you said, everybody that's been and everybody that's played it, it's just different and it hits different. So it'll be interesting to see what that leads to. But yeah, the two courses that will raise the eyebrows are Old Barnwell and Tree Farm. And then a couple of new entries at 98 and 99. Again, familiar names, Sedge Valley, and then Medina 3. So obviously Medina, well-known golf course, just been restored, renovated, whatever you want to call it. And then Sedge Valley, obviously, again, kind of following the footsteps of what we see in the London Heathlands. And nice not to see a golf course that like maxes out at 8,000 yards and is built to test. Something that can be enjoyed. But that also means that some golf courses have been pushed out. So 3 new entries in Ladera, Sedge Valley, and Medina 3. That's pushed out Yale, Streamsong Blue, and Sabonic. So Tom gets a couple in, and then he loses a couple as well. So that's the update for 2024.
I've never played any of the new entries or dropouts, so I can't really comment. But I know that there was a lot of interest in some of those golf courses, and people will be devastated that either their home club or their golf club they aspire to play locally or whatever has dropped out. But I know that you were saying to me something really interesting about 70 down before we came on here.
Well, and this is the point. So, I mean, you look at the names from 70 down. So like Sand Valley, Bel Air, Old Elm, like the list goes on and on and on. And to even be mentioned in that same breadth, there's probably at least 50 to 75 more courses that you could probably slot into any of those spots, and it wouldn't look out of place. So, where does Yale, after it's been restored and reopened, where does that debut? Does that push out Sedge Valley and Medina once we update the list? Maybe it does. Just because Streamsong or Sabonic isn't in the top 100, does that mean you shouldn't go and play it? No, if someone invites you to go play Sabonic, like, go play Sabonic. It's one of those ones where just because it doesn't have like a box beside it that you can tick now doesn't mean it's not worth playing. Streamsong Blue, yeah, by all means, go to Streamsong, get there and play the lot. And you know what? You'll probably enjoy them all. And you might even enjoy blue more than you'll enjoy red or black or any of the other ones. Yeah, so I guess what we're trying not to say is just because it's not on this list doesn't mean it's not worth playing anymore. In America, especially, there's so much new golf, there's so much great golf, and everything is kept in such good nick that you can probably take a decent golf course and it'll play really well in America. So just because they have the investment and the funds to be able to do that. Double-edged sword, but lots of good golf to be had there, and probably put another 50 on this list and it wouldn't look out of place.
Well, that's it. If you want to box tick and play Sabonic, then do the New York list.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's probably 50 golf courses in New York that if you got invited to go and play them, that you would enjoy them, and you would probably say that's one of the best golf courses I've ever played. So the caliber of golf now it's so good, and there's not really much through them. I was listening to another podcast,
Boo.
and yeah, sorry. So it's good to keep an eye on the competition, if you know what I mean. But
Enemies closer, right?
that's right. But what I think the point that was made was that, yeah, honestly, like, at what point it's a bit of a futile exercise. The point that was made was a bit of a futile exercise. Like, is Fox Chapel better than Chambers Bay? So that's, for example, 96th and 97th on our list. And the answer is, yeah, you could probably put one above the other. You could probably move them up 10 or spaces either way, and no one could argue it. And so I think the best way to look at these rankings too is, especially from the point of view of Top 100, is that we're the world's largest collective of golf travelers. And so it's not necessarily saying, hey, Fox Chapel's like, oh, if it only did this, it would be better than Chambers Bay. Not at all. I think what we're saying is, if you have a chance to make it anywhere near either of those, you should go and do it. And so we're almost creating the rankings to help people prioritize experiences and travel, rather than getting into the nitty gritty of, this one is better for this exact reason. So maybe the best way to do it is to think about it as tiers. Like, there's probably a distinction between the top 10 in America, or even the top 25 in America, and then the bottom 25. Maybe there's 3, 4, 5 tiers in the top 100, and you can decide, where that line might be. And for you, it might be very different than for me. But point being is that you could play any one of those top 100, and it's probably going to be one of the best days on a golf course you've had in your life.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I find interesting, that the amount of times I've had memorable days like your recent trip to Waverley, not on a golf top 100 track, but on something spectacular for its own unique reasons. And
I mean, a good example of that in Scotland is Iona.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not even a golf course. If you can make it there, you can play it for free. And the only thing that's going to cost you is, if you want a scorecard, you got to buy it from the post office. And the post office is like 3 miles by foot from the golf course.
There was something I wanted to talk about. You brought it up earlier about environmental reasons. Just a quick one to finish on new golf courses. Now we have an anti-environmentalist coming into power in the US, and a big golf course builder. Do you think maybe there might be a little bit more tree removal, a little bit more golf courses getting possibly built on land that might not normally have been allowed? Or is that state level, or I'm not too sure.
Don't know what the political climate is stateside, but there is always that question of environment over economy. And for whatever reason, it appears for a lot of people that's like a binary decision. I don't think it's as simple as that. And perhaps a little bit closer to home, like in Scotland, Cool Links is maybe one of those courses that appears to kind of, it seems to boil down to that. Like, does the local economy, is that more important than the environment? And actually, when you look at the details of these types of things, it's not as simple or as easy. It's far more complicated than that. I think proponents probably on both sides want to boil it down because it's just easier to consume for some people. Golf is bad. And it's not that at all.
The good example of it is what happened to the orchids at Beckerhannish Dunes. There's more of them now because they cut them back, and they cut back the rough, and they've grown back better.
I was talking to a Heathland golf course the other day that they had a wildfire, and it swept through their golf course, and basically the heather all went up in smoke. Little golf course up in Scotland. And actually, like a few years on, it's come back like better than ever. And actually, they said that like traditionally, the way that they used to manage a lot of the heathlands was to burn them off.
You still do it on grouse moors because it's better for the wildlife to be able to eat the fresh grouse, fresh heather when it's rebudding. So you have more buds coming through, fresh eating buds when the animals are growing up, and the heather survives no matter what because it's the only thing that grows there.
And this is similar. I mean, in Canada, I mean, growing up in the Rocky Mountains, the obviously clear cutting forests and that type of thing without replanting them is never a good thing. But having forest fires was just a natural part of the life cycle of the forest, and actually the regeneration of a forest seemed to be better, or part of that natural equilibrium that's found when we let nature do its thing. So of course, communities living in these areas surrounded by forests that go up in smoke, yeah, it's terrible what can happen. I mean, you look at Jasper, that's one that they'll be recovering from for years. But again, all these things are so complicated that when we think about the environment, it is such a nuanced conversation that when it just gets boiled down to all you're interested in is the economy, or all you're interested in is the environment, there's a sweet spot that seems to be somewhere in the middle. That has to be, but it's such a simplistic take to boil it down to, you want to destroy something for the sake of your wallet, or you don't want progress because of the sake of some lizard that's meant to be there. But yeah, obviously, Trump coming in, he's going to do whatever it takes to. It appears now that he was voted in because people trusted him to basically make them better off. From people trust the fact that he can, or have the hope that he can make them more wealthy. So will there be more opportunities? Yeah, perhaps. Will that translate to us in the UK further afield?
No.
I guess from a golf point of view.
But the one thing I would say that I don't know the rules and regulations in America, they could be state legislations, and because Trump doesn't want government, he wants everything at state level. And you saw that across the board with his decisions in his last term, and maybe he won't have the same, but we'll see.
Yeah, be interesting to see. I mean, all of these things, whatever niche you find yourself in, whether that's golf or something else. My family's all involved with farming and oil and gas, and obviously with what's happening between Canada and the States right now, that's of interest too. So it's an interesting one. The world is so connected now that whatever happens in one place, you pull on that piece of string, and the end is obviously somewhere else. So yeah, how that relates to golf, I don't know. But he's obviously a guy that loves his golf. He's invested in so many properties around the world. And yeah, he's made friends with a lot of very influential, powerful people that all seem to love their golf as well. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. Something I've not thought of.
Yeah, when we were talking about the environmentalist stuff, I thought it was interesting. We debate. Anyway, thank you very much, Jasper. That was a really interesting chat about what's happening in the top 100 USA rankings, and a little bit food for thought for everyone if they want to come and join us and have a chat to discuss possibly joining our rankings teams, because let's be honest, having 50 states to rank is a lot, and we need a lot of people, particularly to get
absolutely. So exactly, and it's not just the top stuff. So if you're particularly well played in even a small geographic area, we'd love to hear from you. So the best way to do that is head to the website. If you head down to the footer of the page on top100golfcourses.com, there's a contact us or about us page there, and you can fill out a form, a panelist inquiry. Tell us a little bit about yourself, give us some information, and then we'll reach back out to you and see if we can get you to help.
Superb. Well, I know you're down under, and it's probably 10 o'clock in the morning now? No.
10 o'clock in the morning, so day is just beginning. Yeah, 10 a.m.
Okay, well, it's 10 a.m. Okay, good. So you go and enjoy yourself. I know there's a dog, a load of kids running around, and have you got a pool?
They're all here. We do have a pool, and we've got a beer fridge, so we're doing all right. And now that it's 10 o'clock is the cutoff, so I get up early here, so I can start sooner. So
I need to take these headphones off so I can put a hat on. I'm so cold up here in Scotland. But enjoy yourself. Have a great time in Australia, and I'll see you when I see you. If you want to get in contact, Jasper told you on the website, or you can check us out on Instagram at official top 100, or on Facebook, or comment on the YouTube video. Do what you want, but we do like to hear from you. So please engage with us. It helps us learn what you guys want and develop the black brand, the offering, everything we do. And please remember, play fast, lunch slow.